What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, what I want to do is share a couple clips with you today, most notably from Stephen A. Smith, who was recently on The View and completely annihilated the women of The View with truth, a truth that they love to deny over and over again, now even months removed from the election. And it's the truth that overwhelmingly Donald Trump won the election and was given a mandate by the American people to do everything that he's doing so far. And based off the polling numbers, it shows that the American people so far are satisfied. And also based off the polling numbers, as I talked about in yesterday's live stream, it appears that the American people don't like the Democrat Party because across the board, all voters considered, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, as you can see here highlighted in yellow, the Democrats have a historic low approval rating of 21%. 21%. Now, before we get into the Stephen A. Smith video, what I want to do first is play for you an Elizabeth Warren video. Because as you've all heard me discuss over and over and over again on this channel, the Democrat Party is egregiously out of touch with the American people. And Elizabeth Warren is actually going to get asked directly about the DNC being out of touch with the American people. How do you think she's going to answer that question? Do you think that she's going to take accountability and answer that question with honesty? Or she is going to default to, I hate Trump, Trump is the devil, and Trump is the one who's the bad guy, not us? I'll let you type what you think that answer is in the comment section below as I pull this video up for you right now.
Why have Democrats lost touch with some of the middle and lower income voters who were with you in past elections, but weren't this time?
Look, I think that doing the analysis, we also see right now that Donald Trump is losing touch with all of those families. What does it mean for Donald Trump to say that?
That's enough. We really don't have to listen to anything else that Elizabeth Warren has to say, because this goes to show and prove why your approval rating is 21%. And I think we all knew the answer to the question that I was asking you earlier. It was a rhetorical question. We knew that she was just default. Look at how ridiculous this is. What happened with the Democrat Party? How did you guys become out of touch with the group of people, lower income, working class people that you used to seem to be in touch with? Well, it's really Donald Trump who's the one that's out of touch. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. I really don't need to hear anymore. These people live in a land of delusion where nothing is their fault. They don't take accountability for anything, and everything is just Trump's fault. Trump, 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 Trump. And you're going to see that here right now in this Stephen A. Smith video, where Joy is still struggling with the fact that Donald Trump won the election in a landslide. She's still struggling with the fact that he won the election in a landslide victory, and that the American people gave Donald Trump a mandate to do everything that he's doing right now. And what I want you to pay attention to here is how Stephen A. Smith completely pops her little DNC delusional bubble.
It's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever. And he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it all, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem.
They're in such denial still that she just said, well, I guess there's a different definition for a mandate, I guess. How can you live in such a delusional state and at the same time be surprised that the American people no longer have your back and are completely uninterested in any and everything that you have to say? These people only know how to hate Trump. They don't know how to take accountability, and they don't know how to propose solutions that would go against what Trump is saying, to say, hey, what he's doing is wrong and here's why it's hurtful, but here's the real solution and what we should do. They never propose an actual solution. It's just hate, 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 hate. He's the devil. He's Satan. He's Putin's puppet. He's Elon Musk's puppet. He's everybody's puppet. And we're not the ones that are wrong. You're the ones as voters who just need more education. This is something that we heard Jasmine Crockett state on multiple occasions in interviews. And the DNC often echoes that sentiment. It's not us that's wrong. It's the voters. You guys have succumbed to misinformation. You're just not educated. Basically, we're all just stupid, right? But the reality is that these people cannot go up against their programming, and it's their programming that's betraying them. I want to pull up another clip of Stephen A. Smith as we round things out, and I want you to listen to this here. As many of you have seen, Hakeem Jeffries and Jasmine Crockett have really been getting pushed out lately as the faces of the DNC, right? And recently, Hakeem Jeffries was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. And what you're getting ready to listen to right now is something completely ridiculous. Stephen A. Smith essentially told Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrats need to drop the January 6th talking point. The American people don't care. Stop talking about it. Stop bringing it up. You lost and you need to move on. What do you think Hakeem Jeffries is going to do? Do you think they're going to take responsibility? Do you think they're going to say, you know what? You're right, Stephen A. It's time for us to move on. And here are the solutions that I'm putting forth for the American people. No. Another rhetorical question. We all know that he's not going to do that. But let's watch and see what he does do.
When are we going to let go of January 6th? We're going to let that go because I mean, the man was impeached twice, convicted on 34 felony counts, and still reelected. I mean, at some point in time, somebody like Senator Durbin and others who was asking Pam Bondi about, are you willing to admit he lost the election? It's like, enough of that, because the American people clearly have spoken. At least 77 plus million of them have spoken. He won the electoral college vote. He won the popular vote. He won the swing states, etc. They've said what they've had to say. When are y'all going to let that go? And number two, how are you going to go about not coming across as being at the mercy of the progressive left? And I'm asking you that question specifically because in a lot of American people's eyes, you're seen as somebody who's center left, more of a centrist, more reasonable than some of the folks that have been the most outspoken for the Democratic Party.
Well, I think in terms of January 6th, look, it's not something that the American people should ever forget.
Okay.
Because it was an extraordinary event. I was there when we were debating, as Congress does, the certification of the election. And we were told that a mob has breached the Capitol. They're on the second floor. They're a few steps outside of the House chamber and hit the ground. And be prepared to secure the gas masks that are underneath your seats, because there were people who were trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power.
Okay.
And this is the greatest democracy in the history of the world. So we can't forget January 6th. I'm not suggesting that it's a core issue moving forward in terms of how we are making our case to the American people, but we also can't ignore the fact that in one of his first acts, President Trump chose to pardon violent felons who brutally assaulted and beat police officers. Are they the party of law and order? That's actually lawlessness and disorder.
I'll spare you guys the last 25 seconds. Lord have mercy. When are you going to stop talking about January 6th and move on? What does Hakeem Jeffries proceed to do? Give you a whole rundown of January 6th. These people cannot go up against their programming. Their programming is what's doing them in. I want to show you this one last ridiculous clip in closing. Look at this here. Recently, the senators, all Democrat senators for the most part, made themselves look like complete fools because they all put out a scripted word for word clip to which on the surface looks like something original that they themselves and their team came up with. But what you will see is that they all simultaneously at the same time uploaded like Manchurian candidate freaking robots the same scripted nonsensical talking points about Donald Trump that just makes them look like fools. Fools who cannot be organic and true to save their lives. Look at this ridiculous clip here. I believe this right here is from Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker. But it wasn't just those three. Literally, they all simultaneously, it was about maybe 10 Democrat senators or 11 or so, and they all released the same nonsensical clip. Look at this here.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of groceries, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing. Who's eggs to lower prices? Instead, he's pardoned violent criminals who savagely beat police officers
on January 6th.
He's letting Elon Musk take a chainsaw to vital government programs, and then, even worse, giving him access to Americans' most sensitive data, Social Security numbers, tax returns, health care returns. He's fired thousands of essential workers, people who help our veterans get their benefits, people fighting Ebola in Africa so it doesn't come here. He's frozen funding for vital programs that so many Americans have.
We're done. I'm not going to torture you guys anymore with the last 45 seconds. You get the point. Once again, the message to all Democrats. If you're confused as to why you have a 21% approval rating, it's because you're all fake Manchurian candidates. Just like Kamala Harris was. Just like Brandon Johnson is the mayor out of Chicago, the emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago. You cannot answer a question. You can't step in front of a camera and hold a microphone in your hand without repeating your written down talking points. And what's so bad is that what you see even here in this video is that they're too lazy to even write up original talking points across the board for different DNC politicians. They copy pasted the same talking point with the same B-roll footage and said, you all read off the same thing. And yeah, this is what's going to convince the American people to come back over to the Democrats. Sorry, you're pushing everybody further and further away. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.